Hello students, after studying this module, you shall be able to know about different theories of moral development, learn about the concept of self-control, understand the factors that foster self-control. Moral development concentrates on immersion, alteration, and understanding morality in different stages of life, that is, from infancy till adulthood. The definition of morality as understood in the field of moral development is the set of principles individuals have regarding the treatment of other individuals with respect to their welfare, justice, and rights. For understanding individuals' concept of morality, one should assess their attitudes, beliefs, emotions, and behaviors, adding to their moral understanding. Studying moral development not only requires studying an individual, but also involves his peer group and parents, and moral development not only studies morality, but also socialization of an individual, altruism, cultural or societal influences, role of conscience and values, empathy, and positive development. According to psychoanalytic perspective, moral development initiates when an individual is able to repress his selfish needs and desires and replaces them with societal demands and values. The behaviorist perspective also focuses on socialization as the chief force for initiating moral development. The only difference between psychoanalytic and behaviorist perspective is that for understanding individuals' moral development, psychoanalysis focused on the conflict of internal and external forces, whereas the behaviorists focused only on the external factors. Coming to the cognitive perspective, Piaget emphasized on socio-cognitive and socio-emotional views and tried to understand an individual's constitutional, construction, and interpretation of morality. Piaget felt that for understanding morality, it was essential to consider how morality is manifested in an individual's world, as well as understanding the central concepts related to morality like justice, welfare, and rights. Kohlberg extended Piaget's idea of moral development, and his research on understanding moral development resulted in a systematic 3-level, 6-stage series which focused on changes in the moral judgment throughout the life. Each level is associated with an intellectual capacity which the child must possess in order to proceed to higher stages as well as levels. Both Piaget's and Kohlberg's work emphasized that moral development is a conscious effort of an individual to coordinate and integrate his orientation to the world, and it has expanded the field and applications of developmental psychology. Turiel, from a social cognitive perspective, defined the differentiation of moral, equality, fairness, justice, societal, group functioning, conventions, traditions, and psychological, personal, prerogative, constructs from the initial to the later stages in the development. This explains how people distinguish between moral and conventional rules, describe the personal arena as a non-regulated arena, and evaluate the complex events involving more than one arena. The research findings are consistent with this model over the past 40 years. Theories of moral development. Piaget's stages of moral development. Based on his observation of children, Piaget noted 4 stages of moral understanding of rules and regulations during the cognitive development of children. Stage 1, that is 0 to 4 years. In this stage, the motor skills of the child are the only focus. Stage 2, from 4 to 7 years. In this stage, play is egocentric, that is, children are not able to understand rules completely, or they may create them as they proceed in their game. They are not able to have a strong sense of competition or cooperation with other children. Stage 3, from 7 to 12 years. In this stage, incipient cooperation is the focus. Children are able to master the rules and their interactions become more social. The ability to understand competitive as well as a cooperative play is increased. But attaining a mutual understanding of the rules is still difficult because each child has their own set of rules. Stage 4, which is 12 years onwards. In this stage, children are able to comprehend rules in a more legalistic way. The child shows fascination with the rules, that is, differences in opinion of people concerning the rules, inventing new rules, and working out on them. Considering the cognitive development during this stage, a child's mind and imagination is indulged with the ideas of abstract possibilities and concepts. Similarly, the child in this domain attempts to predict all the possible occurrences that may come up. Children's moral judgments. Piaget has formulated his theory based on the research he had done with children, mainly emphasizing on their interactions during play. In case of moral judgments, Piaget established that children of age 4 to 7 years think in terms of moral realism or moral heteronomy. According to it, the morality is seen in absolute terms, that is, rules are fixed and unalterable, and violating these rules led to a sense of guilt. The intentions of an individual violating the rule didn't matter. The next stage comes in around 10 years of age, and in this stage, children are able to understand that arbitrariness in rules, and they realize that the rules are established through mutual consent for maintaining equity, and this may extend from small scale, that is the rules of a game, standard of behavior in family, to large scale like laws in a country, laws of a socio-cultural group or a society. Children in this stage understand, if need be, rules can be changed. The sense of morality was called moral autonomy. Also, the sense of moral autonomy can develop differently for different children as well as for different situations, and there is no clear distinction between these stages of moral development. Kohlberg's levels and stages of morality. Kohlberg extended on Piaget's work and studied how children will respond differently to moral dilemmas. Hence, the two-stage framework given by Piaget was modified into 6 stages arranged in 3 levels. In level 1, morality only exists in terms of consequences of disobedience, that is, to avoid punishment. Behavior is evaluated based on their consequences, that is, a behavior is good if it is rewarded or bad if it is punished. There is no understanding of the societal rules. In level 2, morality is understood in the form of social rules and an objective view of the sense of right or wrong. In the psychoanalytic perspective, this level would be equated with the development of superego. The egocentralism is more or less disappeared at the end of this level. In level 3, the societal rules, regulations and laws are no longer emphasized as morality, but idealized and subjective principles are the areas of focus. For stage 6, Kant's categorical imperative can be considered where the right and the wrong may apply similarly for all with no consideration of its consequences. But now the modern ethicists recognize that the situation is also important. That is, something which is considered wrong, example lying, in one situation may be considered right for another. But people of stage 6 basically believe in their ethical values, and their values are given more importance than any other law or rule. For example, Civil Disobedience Act was appropriate in situations where a powerful country is subduing other countries, or one race of people is mistreating people of other races. It was believed that only few people can actually be at this stage of morality, and those who do are of the stature of M.K. Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. Carol Gilligan's Theory of Moral Development. Gilligan critiqued Kohlbergs Theory as she felt that Kohlberg has not included a gender perspective, and most of the participants in his study were boys. Hence, she observed the differences between girls and boys in their notions about relationships, caring, and connections with other people. In particular, Gilligan observed that relationships, care, and connections with other people concern girls more than the boys. Hence, she hypothesized that girls are concerned about caring and boys are concerned about justice. This difference in gender is mainly a result of children's relationship with their mother. Within her theoretical model for moral development in females, Gilligan provided a series of 3 levels. Level 1. Orientation to individual survival. This level marks the first transition from selfishness to responsibility. Here, a woman is oriented towards individual survival, and the self is the only object of concern. Level 2. Goodness as self-sacrifice. In this level, woman develops a sense of responsibility towards others. Women assume the societal roles, values, and social membership in this level. Here, being good is associated with sacrificing oneself for the concern of others, but realizing that emphasizing on one's needs is not selfishness. Instead, it is fair and honest. And this becomes the great concern of this level. Gilligan cites this transition from level 2 to level 3 as the transition from goodness to truth. Level 3. The morality of non-violence. This level focuses on resolving the struggle between self-concern and concern for others. In this level, there is compassion and harmony which regulate moral actions concerning self and others. This level specifies both adulthood and femininity. Gilligan's theoretical framework is highly appreciated as it enhanced the knowledge of gender differences in the mental processes during the moral development. Development of self-control. In the initial years, self-control is the ability to trust adults, delay gratification, internalize rules, control angry impulses, take turns, empathize with others' feelings, and find ways to cheer up when feeling sad, as well as find internal ways to be more patient despite frustrations. Self-control is a multifarious concept as it involves many ideas. For example, delaying their desires, deferring their demands, and accepting alternatives for their needs while not being disorganized or aggressive by frustration, to deal with the stimulation and arousal if because of an environmental demand or weariness. Also, self-control is similar to the concepts of self-regulation, affect regulation, emotional regulation, self-discipline, and delay of gratification. The initial development of self-control is based on the cognitive ability of a child. That is, when the child learns to distinguish between short-term and long-term outcomes. For instance, when the child realizes that a long-term outcome is desirable, then he may delay his gratification in his best interest, hence practicing self-control. It has been found through research that self-control increases with age and is leveled in the early 30s. Factors fostering self-control. The role of parents. Relationships that are supportive are key ingredients for healthy development of children. Children require practice to understand and make sense of their world, and parents provide a constant support during this process. A secure and strong attachment of children with their parents enhances children's skill of controlling their impulses and developing self-control. Authoritative parenting style is more appropriate for children for securing a positive attachment to their parents, as authoritative parents are firm and steady, yet caring and nurturing. They expect the children to show control in various situations, and they never consent indulging in non-compliant behavior. Their style is efficient because they provide reasons and explanations of why they are disciplining them the way they are doing, and also because they avoid resorting to controlling and punishing their children. Attachment and self-control. As we know, the type of attachment an individual develops during his childhood is an important predictor of his adjustment in the adult life. Securely attached children are able to handle their negative emotions better than the insecurely attached children. Securely attached children are able to escape the vicious circle of frustration, anger, hopelessness or negativity and show perseverance during the time of difficulties. Self-control is an essential concept which is highly impacted by the early attachment of children. Praise, admiration and self-control. For parents and teachers to impede children's actions towards negative behaviors is not enough. They should admire, praise and reinforce children for their positive behaviors. This act of reinforcing some behaviors enhances the occurrence of those behaviors. During times of stress, receptiveness is lower and hence children may not be able to understand the lack of self-regulation then. But if they are reinforced during the times when they display self-regulation, then the sense of self-regulation is fortified. Modeling and self-control. For the process of learning self-control, it is important that the caregivers, that is the parents or the guardians, focus on problem solving rather than retribution, anger and punishment. As we know that children learn by observing others around them, so if the caregivers are being calm in situations of anger, the children also learn to do the same. It should be noted that children's minds are sensitive to their caregivers' emotional states as well as behaviors. Hence, the caregivers should control their behaviors in situations of fear or anger to make their children learn the appropriate responses in such situations. A way of doing it may be reframing the situation or making the children see the event in a positive light. For instance, if a child is hit by another child in a playground, then the mother can reframe it by saying that the child must have hit him accidentally and he didn't mean to hurt him. This reframing improves the anger in both the mother and the child, the learning environment and self-control. Self-regulation and control is developed in a coherent and ordered environment rather than in overcrowded or disorganized environment. The environment of a child should include items and props that can be assessed and controlled by the child freely. Ideally, An environment should give a child enough challenge to move towards the newer levels of productivity and self-sufficiency, as working through obstacles and difficulties in attaining success enhances the sense of self-regulation. And in incoherent environment, motivation to indulge in new activities is hampered. Hence, an effort should be made to keep children in coherent environments more, as it promotes motivation, especially for young children where the standards of their performance are steadily increasing. Parents, media and self-control. Parents should be supervising the media content accessed by their children, thereby ensuring that their children are not watching inappropriate movies, video games, TV programs and or internet content. Even just avoiding their children for not watching this content is useful, but making them watch or exposing them to positive aspects of mass media during their childhood leads to long-term benefits for a child. There have been various studies done to understand the relationship of television violence and regulative status, and it has been found that violent television programs are harmful in a sense that it impedes self-regulation in a child, and poor sense of self-regulation is a primary indicator of aggressive behavior later in life. It has been asserted by the researchers that an everyday exposure to violent media also creates a constant state of trauma, fear and stress, which leads to children being highly reactive and who are not able to manage stimulation. Even the act of a child is watching the media content alone further impedes their sense of self-regulation because isolation hampers self-control development. And boys were more at risk of violence than girls when they were shown the same quantity of violent media content. Summary. Moral development refers to the development of understanding of how to treat others, what is right and wrong, and one's influence of emotions on judgment. Piaget proposed a 4-stage theory of moral development based on observation of children games. Kohlberg expanded Piaget's theory by giving a 6-stage theory of moral development. Gilligan considered gender differences in moral development. Self-control is the ability to trust adults, delay gratification, internalize rules, control angry impulses, take turns, empathize with others' feelings, and find ways to cheer up when feeling sad, as well as find internal ways to be more patient despite frustrations. Several factors foster the development of self-control, like the role of parents, attachment, media, etc.